YouTube and see if we're actually having sound come out. But I think we're live. I think we're there.
Let's see. Hold on.
Don't know. Hello, friends. I hope this works. I think we're live.
Nice. Here we are.
I think we're there.
That's a good check.
Cool. Super. Well, yeah, man. We're
Modern Relics.
Modern Relics. We're here. We're live. This is really strange because we set up a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, and then we shot like 2 or 3 video recordings to make sure all the audio worked.
Yeah.
And then it worked just fine. And then we turn it back on, and it doesn't work fine.
We did a lot of testing, like right when I got here, just to make sure that the lighting was right and all that stuff, and then the sound was right. And then, man, we didn't get around to doing it. And then when we finally did get around to doing it, it like all went sideways.
It just,
for no reason either. So
but we're here. Hey, how about that?
We are here. We are in.
We're live in my fucking house.
In the new studio. How do you guys like it? Like the new studio? I think it's beautiful.
I'm like of the mind where every time I set out to like set something up that I really enjoy, I'll like put it together and be like, that's it. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, I fucking hate it. Like, you know what I mean? Are you that way? Where you're like, and then at some point you accept because you're out of time. You're just like, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And everyone's like, it's amazing. And you're like, it sucks. Like it was, and then it wasn't, and then it was. I don't know.
No.
But it's growing on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we actually we're going to be planning on doing this fairly frequently at least once a month in this location together. So all the other times
we're
we'll be
live,
doing
Kootenai County Spectator. Thank you. I'm looking at the wrong camera.
Wrong camera. Camera one.
Internet radio superstardom starts right here, and I lost the plot already.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you coming out. Yeah, we are going to do this a lot.
Yeah.
Hopefully, more routinely. I'm excited for it. Hopefully, I'll get a real table instead of a poker table one day. So, talk to me about what it took to get here. It was easy, right?
It was a breeze.
Like a 5-minute cab ride. Talk to me.
Yeah. Well, this was the first time I've flown since COVID. Like I used to fly all the time.
Is that right?
Yeah. I haven't flown since COVID.
Wow.
And so this was my first experience. And so I bought the tickets. My wife and I bought the tickets and didn't think anything of it. Like, all right, well, this is the first time, but an easy flight, right? And I was supposed to have a layover because I could choose whether my layover was going to be Seattle or if it was going to be Salt Lake.
Like Salt Lake, right?
Right. And so I was like, Salt Lake, keep me out of Seattle. And so that was supposed to be Sunday morning at 6 a.m. And then the glitch. So the glitch that everybody knows about, what's the company?
So, to the best of my knowledge, CrowdStrike, which is a really big cybersecurity firm, pretty much released a piece of code as a Windows update with their partner Windows. That went out to principally folks that consume the Azure services from them and have affected a lot of Windows installations across many, many terminals, including where I work over at Redacted.
Right.
And health services and
most
airplanes.
Hospitals, most airlines, most banks, and it wasn't just nationally, it was internationally too,
Yeah, so the short and long of it is it wasn't like malicious, although I'm willing to bet by the end of next week we hear something about there being as a bit of a barrier or a wall of responsibility pushing off. I can almost guarantee we're going to hear something about a data breach or something over at CrowdStrike pretty soon.
Yeah.
But by and large, it was a piece of code that just wasn't vetted very well, and it didn't interact with Windows very well, so it blue screen of death. The way to fix it, if you can, boot up in safe mode, get into the System32 files, delete a little line of code, and reboot it, and it goes back to the way things were. We're talking about surgeons, airline pilots, coffee shop employees, parts houses. Like, these people aren't technology whizzes, and they put a lot of faith in the contract they built with Microsoft, and so it's a massive fuck up. Like, it's bad. So anyway,
well, it ruined my day.
That's the short and long of it. So here you are.
So I get
Seattle.
Yeah, well,
best place on earth.
Well, I didn't get to Seattle yet. I was 6 a.m. I was supposed to have a flight to Salt Lake, and on Sunday I was supposed to leave at 6 a.m. and then I get here in relatively decent time, and then I get off work at the shop on Saturday night, and we're running last minute errands because it's already like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm supposed to be getting up at like 3 in the morning to go to the airport. And we're headed to Walmart or the bank or something, and we get the email that says, your flight's been canceled. We don't know when you're going to have another flight. Followed up by in 10 minutes after that, now we have your flight. And your flight is actually Monday, not Sunday. So it's Monday at noon-ish. We'll see you there. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess, that kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world. But you have to go to Seattle. Okay, that's a little crappier. I'm not super happy about that. You have a 3-hour layover in Seattle. Oh, yeah, okay, well, let's just get through it, right? Happened to have shared a flight from Spokane to Seattle with some friends who happened to be randomly there. And that was pretty cool. Family, husband, wife, and kids. And they were on their way to Denver. And so we get off the plane, and they shuttle us in from, they take us off the plane, and I thought this was odd, that they took us off the plane not at a terminal. They took us off the plane from a ladder ramp system outside.
Last 2 times I flew there, it was that way.
Yeah, and then they get us on a shuttle, and then, like the Indiana Jones, but the cartoon version where the plane goes across the map, but it's doing like spinning. Yeah, it's what it felt like getting to where we needed to go for the terminal shuttle.
Sure.
And we're all looking at each other. It's like, is this guy doing Brody's? Like, what is he doing?
Why?
And so we get there, finally get in, and we start going in our separate directions to go to our different terminals. And we were going to meet up later because we both had a 3-hour layover, but once we wanted to check in, right? Yep. So we get there, and I was there for maybe 10 minutes before, and it said the plane was on time. It said, oh yeah, your plane's on time. It's going to be here, da-da-da-da-da. And 10, 15 minutes later, I get a message from my wife saying, they just canceled your flight from Seattle to Vegas. Lovely. And I'm like, why? Like, it says, I'm looking at the board right now. It says that it's on time. Yeah. And I don't understand why they shipped me halfway. Like, if you knew that that plane wasn't coming in from, wherever it was going to be to then take Seattle people to Vegas, why did you take me from Spokane to Seattle and then dump me off there? Right. And so I spent the next 10 hours running around that ginormous airport that was under construction end to end. Like, everything's boarded and plasticed up. They're remodeling the whole thing. There's nowhere to sit. There's no plugs for phones. My phone's like dying, but I'm running end to end in looking for like other airlines that I can just buy a ticket to get down here. Right. They're all full. The Delta line alone that I was supposed to be in, and I'm like, I'm not getting in that line. Yeah. Was like a Disneyland ride for a brand new ride. And it was like 4.5 to 5 hours long. So I walked like 2/3 of the way through the line, and looked around the corner. It's just wrapped for like half a mile down the airport. Oh, and I'm like, and so I look at the people next to me. I was like, how long have you been in line? And they're like, we've been in line for 3.5 hours right here. There's still at least an hour plus in front of us. And I'm like, oh God, nope, not doing that. So I then started, trying to figure out what to do. Right. And
reaching out for help at this point.
Right. And so I'm talking to, different airlines. They're all booked. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to try to get my bag. And at least there might be 1 or 2 people who don't hate me in the city of Seattle anymore. So I thought I might reach out to one of them. Because that list grew dramatically shorter, and I was like, "There's got to be somebody that likes me here still, right?" So, maybe, yeah. And so I thought I'd go down and try to get my bag, and there are mountains, like 8 different piles, mountains of luggage that people are trying to sift through to find theirs, and apparently it's all stuff from the day before, and like it's...
Wait, so they were like letting actual travelers go
I don't think
into
they had
the
a
pile
choice.
and try and
The
pick
travelers
shit up?
were like, we're just not giving you a choice. We're
Oh my
just
God.
taking stuff.
So you could have just grabbed stuff
Yeah,
from pretty much anyone.
pretty much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Feels bad.
Yeah, but there was actually lines for people who were, they could try to track your bag to tell you what mountain it was in or
Yeah.
if it was somewhere else. Stood in that line for 90 minutes. Finally get up to the front. She goes, oh yeah, your bag's here in the airport. It's not out there in the piles. It's still up there, but you can't have it. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't have it? They're like, it's already in process. I
But
was
it's
like,
my bag.
but it's my bag.
Right.
Can you just go get it or send someone to go get it? And they're like, no, it's already being processed. It's going to go to Vegas whether or not you do. And I'm
That's
like,
the
can I
part that-
be on that plane?
That's the part that kills me. Like, if there's an aircraft with my bag on it, why then is my person
Yeah.
also not on it?
Right.
Yeah.
And she was very nice, so I didn't want to give her too much grief. She obviously,
She's having a rough day.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they all those airline workers were probably going, this is the worst
Yeah.
ever. So, and of course, everybody's pissed. So you're on top of it being crowded, on top of there's no one in a good mood in this entire airport, right? So you're just bobbing and weaving through fights throughout the whole airport. And so then I got a hold of my buddy Chris and Jennifer, and they're like, oh, hey. I was like, I don't mean to spring this on you, but I'm stranded.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're like one of the only people in this city that actually likes me anymore. Can I stay at your place? And
Yeah.
he got off work at like 10, and so 10 p.m. and she had to get up at work and go to work at 6. So he came and picked me up after work, but he had to go to work at noon. So then she took me back to the airport. But it was actually kind of a cool little layover for me because I hadn't seen Chris and Jennifer in a while. And so I got to catch up with them and kind of like shoot the breeze with Chris for hours. And that night and then the next day before he went to work, and it was pretty cool. However, his mom pinned me in the kitchen after he went to work and took 45 minutes. Nice lady, sweet lady, always has been. But it took her 45. She's like, can I make you a sandwich? And I was like, I haven't eaten since the airport.
Right.
That would be great. I didn't realize it was going to take 45 minutes to make a sandwich. Also, on top of that, I didn't realize that while she was doing it, she was going to let me know how evil Trump is.
Yeah.
That he's the
Well,
Antichrist from Revelation.
He's very orange and bad and very orange and bad.
Right. And I mean, it was those type of talking points. But then, sitting there telling me that the assassination attempt was rigged and fake. But she wishes that it would have happened.
Sure.
And I'm just stuffing my mouth with sandwich just not to and to bite my tongue and
Yeah.
okay. And then literally had to go, thanks for the sandwich, and then just get out of the room. So I'm like, this woman is like being nice to me, and I can't just, So I wasn't in a
I
position.
think it might have been better if you were a piece of shit back, though. Somehow. Just like as you.
It would have been great, yeah. But then Chris would have been like, what the fuck, man? Like,
Yeah.
why'd you have to do? Why'd you
Just
have to
like
fuck my mom
stir
that
the
way?"
pot and then gently
leave.
back away.
Yeah, and then go, bye guys, I'll see you in another 8 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, so they took me to the airport, finally got there, and was kind of had my fingers crossed the entire time, hoping that this flight wasn't going to get canceled either. They didn't tell me what gate. There was like on the board, it said, there's no gate even attached to this.
Yeah.
And I had to ask a couple of employees, and they're like, we think you're at gate 15, but we don't know. It doesn't say.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is so, like, I'm going to get stuck here again. So I went to the gate, and sure enough, they were like, the pilot was there and a bunch of the flight attendants and stuff. And I was like, I'm happy you guys are here. They're like, we are too. However, the plane isn't yet. So like, this still could not happen. I was like, dude, please at least give me a little bit of hope. Like, give me some hope. And at this point, I'm already like going to get in on Tuesday night, the night that, no, that was Monday night. Was it Monday night? No, it was Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Yeah, because I had stayed the night. So
Yep. That was the day off we were supposed to do the pod on. So.
yeah, so we were supposed to do the pod, and I'm not, even with this flight, I'm not going to get in until like 10:30 at night, right?
Yeah.
And so I've already lost 2.5 days at this point, and so I'm kind of pissed. I'm super irritated. They get us on the plane, and they start to taxi us out, and I'm like, I think this is happening.
Yeah.
So, and it did, and finally got in.
Well, we were texting about that too, and I'm like, I still don't trust it. Even
Right.
if you're seated, like when you're pushing off, that's when I need to get text, because
Yeah.
I've had people come down where like, flights aren't happening. Oh wait, there's the last minute flight crew that's coming in from LA. They're going to take this flight down to Las Vegas, and then they're going to call it a night. So you're in. They seat everybody.
Yeah.
No flight from LA. Nobody shows up. Like
Yeah.
55 minutes later, and it's at this point 2 a.m.
Yeah.
They start pulling people off the airplane. Like, you're not flying. We were just kidding. Fuck yourself. Go find some place to stay.
Right.
And it was over the holidays too. So
And that was my concern as well.
Yeah,
So the minute we started getting cruising, I texted you from the air. I'm one of those a-holes that doesn't turn my phone off when they tell you to, because I never do. And I'm like, what's it gonna do? Really? Come on. That was all the trip up of trying to get here. And then finally we get here, and I'm hitting up the guy that I'm supposed to be doing the guest spot at. And his name's Jesse. And never met the guy. And I hit him up, and I was like, hey, I'm here. Let's go. I'll come down to the shop whenever you want me to. And he hits me up. He goes, hey, my kid's sick. It's going to be a little later. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I ended up just driving down there because I didn't want to mess around any longer. And I drove down there and just kind of had to go cruise around the strip, went to shops, went and shook hands, talked to people, went to a bunch of other shops, went to the supply store. And by 6 o'clock, he hits me up and he goes, okay, I'm here. 6 p.m. So I was down there at like 12:30.
Yeah.
And so I spent that much time just like going around. And he wasn't lying. His kid was sick. They had gotten back from Disneyland, and it was, but he has no other crew that's reliable. One of them he had just fired, and then the other ones were out of town for convention stuff. So it was just him manning the ship at this particular moment. So he couldn't have anyone come let me in.
Yeah.
Once I get there, meet the guy, he apologizes profusely, all the stuff. And then, but the shop's really nice. He's got a really clean, really streamlined, nice shop. Big booth for me.
It was incredible. I went down there, yesterday?
Yeah.
For a couple of hours, or maybe less. Super nice place.
Yeah.
Not real close to the strip.
Nope.
But,
Not 24 hours. So,
not 24 hours.
Yeah. So
I did find it odd that there were no employees.
Yeah.
For a shop that size. Like, there was nobody.
Yeah. He had just fired one guy, and then another guy had to leave for substance abuse issues. That he was going to the sports bar too much, and he had a drinking problem. Nice guy, but he had to go to a rehab facility to take care of that. And then the other artist and piercer, were in I think Alaska or something like
Wow.
that, doing a convention circuit for the Ink Masters convention or whatever. So, and then they ended up popping in. I ended up meeting them once they got back. But yeah, ended up, not tattooing as much as I wanted to, but it was a good test run. I got to meet my cousin, which was really cool, my cousin Tristan, and got to tattoo her and hang out with her. I went and picked her up and then brought her to the shop and then dropped her off back in Henderson. And she's super cool, like awesome lady. And next morning I had breakfast with her and a couple of her kids and her friend and their kids, and so I was at a breakfast table with like 8 girls and me, so it was hilarious. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting closer with that side of the family and spending a lot more time with them. So her husband wants to come up and get tattooed. So do all of her friends. So she's got a huge friend group too. So I think besides just the tattoo side of things, I'm actually looking forward to just getting to know him. Like she seemed super cool, super based.
Yeah, a lot of
Trump
tacit
supporter.
positives.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
learning the environment a little bit and getting
Yeah.
ready for your next one.
It was a good test trial, even though there was a lot of weird hiccups and stuff like that. I got a lot of information to like basically build off of for August, September, October,
Yeah.
and be able to keep coming down and building that rapport. To come out swinging 1,000 right out of the gate, it was not realistic.
Yeah.
But I think it got kind of damaged a little bit by the travel stuff and by not really understanding the geography of like where the shop was and stuff. Nice shop, but it's in Chinatown. It's not by the strip.
Yeah,
So
it's a good 12 minutes away ish from
Driving.
the strip. Driving.
yeah, not
it's out
tourist
there.
walking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think what I'm looking for more is kind of that turn 'em and burn 'em tourist trap tattoo shop place, so that
Yeah,
I can just
being the relief valve for those that don't want to do walk-ins.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll take on some appointments too for anyone who's interested. But like, that's kind of the point. Is I want to do like kind of Friday the 13th marathon stuff for like
Yeah.
for like 6 days at like their shop rate instead of a Friday the 13th rate.
Right.
Do that right. So that's kind of the point of what I was trying to do down here, and I think it's accessible if I play. Kind of line stuff up better.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's it. But I've had a great time hanging out with you. We've had a lot of great conversations, and you've made, obviously, it very comfortable to be here. And I love being down here. The heat doesn't bother me.
Same.
So I...
120 is a little
Did you get that?
comical before you got here.
Before I got here?
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed it was 109 today when I was
Yeah.
driving back.
Which
so,
was actually a little bit less than earlier in the week, but
yeah.
I've been basically all business during business hours this week. Obviously, the CrowdStrike thing was brutal on where I work,
Yeah.
and a lot of affect. The funny part on the internet, it said that CrowdStrike was offering like $10 gift cards to like Uber Eats and Grubhub and stuff to all the contractors and people that were like helping out trying to resolve the outage and
$10,
stuff like
huh?
that. So it's like, well, that's
That's sweet. That's the pizza party of the...
probably millions out of your pocket if you give everybody that was affected one of those,
Yeah.
maybe trillions, but $10, that might cover the sales tax of the food, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. I mean, at least they didn't just go quiet on it, but it's been a rough week. So, yeah, but hopefully we get to a point where you get more of a rhythm going,
Yeah.
you know, business starts
Yeah.
coming in.
I think that's doable. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so you'll be back in this area in late August, right?
yeah, I think I bought my tickets today. I'll be flying in on the 19th
Yeah.
through the 26th, which you'll be gone by that point. So, but it
That'll
is-
be my last day in Seattle, and then I fly back on the 27th.
yeah. So, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to coming back, but in the meantime, I'm gonna go home tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go see my family because also while this was all going on, we had our dog die.
Yeah.
So our dog Cooper, who was 12 or 13, somewhere in there, old hound dog, and as I was leaving, he started really going downhill. He didn't really transition the move very well, like from the old house to this one. He seemed fine, and then we got to this new house, and something just set his biorhythms off, and he just wasn't doing really well. He wasn't eating, like the dog eats everything, including everybody else's stuff. But he just kind of stopped eating, and he'd eat at every once in a while, like late at night or something, but his appetite went way down.
That's a
and he
bummer.
started getting real thin, and we were trying to feed him like meats and different soft, like expensive dog foods and
The fancy feast for dogs. kind
yeah,
of thing.
all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And he wasn't having it. Like, and he finally, and as I was leaving, I was like, he's not looking good, and he's probably gonna go.
Real quick from chat,
Yeah,
Cynthia Faster.
yeah.
Cynthia Faster says, "Hi, son from another mother. How are you? I'm great. How are you? It's been a rough week, but it's been a fun week at the same time.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing well."
Sorry, I have to like pivot my head into different places to catch chat, but I'm doing good.
Oh.
So,
But yeah, Cooper passed away, and I knew it. I was looking at him. I was like, we had to set up some plans. I was like, if this dog goes while I'm gone, we're gonna have to set something up for you guys. And so we did, and it worked out really well. And my wife and our other dog Arthur sat with him out on the porch while he got sun on his paws and on the breeze on him, and he passed away out there. And but yeah, he was happy and peaceful and had a good life. He was a good old dog, and we're sad to see him go. But it was just one of those added things to the chaos of this week of like,
yeah.
it's going to be something that I get to come home to and kind of have to deal with in person. But yeah. So besides that, like, I'm looking forward to being home, seeing the kids, seeing
Both of them? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, both of them. So they don't listen to this, so
Yeah. No, nobody, I don't think anyone really watches. No, I'm kidding. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. So, yeah, I think it's been a interesting week of being preoccupied with like the here and now, just trying to get logistics done. But I do think as the more you come down, the more rhythm we'll put into stuff. It'll be a little more smooth sailing. So
yeah,
I've been kind of head in outage at work with some other stuff I got going on. So I haven't been too thick in the news, but we did hear that Joe Biden's quitting the job.
Yep, that is
He's
true.
not going to rerun. And
He's being forced out of the job.
we've been talking a little bit about like who we think Kamala Harris, who he endorsed kind of almost as an afterthought in the little goodbye announcement. Just like, oh, and by the way, Kamala Harris is going to be the go-to person. Have a good day.
This wretched woman's going to take my place. Yeah.
And this is from, this is a Kansas local press.
Okay.
They think, and the very first thing they start with in their article that I did read was if she's nominated by the Democrats and elected, first woman president, first, woman president of color.
Yeah, by the way, just so you know, nobody voted for her. She didn't get any primary votes.
Zero.
So the people who are protecting democracy completely subverted it to install Kamala Harris without one single American vote.
Yeah, a career in California state politics where, by my estimation, she has failed upwards the entire time.
The entire time.
But they get right on into the race card.
Of course.
Probably behooves her to pick a white, running mate. Blah blah blah. This is their early shot for governors. They're looking at Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, Tim Walz of Minnesota, Andy Beshear of Kentucky, Roy Cooper of North Carolina. Top tier candidates to balance Harris's profile. And then U.S. Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, who I've heard a lot about this last week, because of the high-profile career, politics, astronaut, Navy, I think. Then, there's the Whitmer discussions. Maybe it's a all-female card, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So
what do we do here? Like, I think the obvious choice for the Dems would have been...
Well, she doesn't have the time frame.
No.
So they installed her too late unless they've got some sneaky plans, which they always do. But let's just say on a regular timeline, this does not add up to being able to propel somebody as toxic, even to the Democrats, let alone, she's unlikable across the board. And that's been proven poll after poll. She's the least liked candidate or politician, technically in history, if you're doing polls, right? No one likes her. So they know that she can't win unless they pair her with lean into the woman president and woman of color president as much as possible, even though she's going to take an enormous amount of shrapnel for her past. So
big time. Like they did note what I mentioned last week when we were talking about this too, was the don't pick your ideological clone.
Yeah.
and it was like, think, for example, Trump picking Mike Pence in 2016, hoping the selection of a mild-mannered Midwesterner with deep ties to GOP's evangelical community could temper the bombastic New York reputation of the party's social conservatives, which is exactly what I said last week.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, hey, don't pick an ideological clone. And then they're just basically pandering for another 5 paragraphs about, well, what about this? And what about, and like, nobody has any idea. And none of them seem like they're super strong in the background.
I think out of the list that you said, Mark Kelly and Whitmer would probably, because you also need name notoriety. Because if you put a no name in there with Kamala Harris, you're just not going to win.
Yeah.
You need some name. It has to be the perfect candidate, right?
Yeah.
In order for them to be able to even compete. Because it's not even going to be worth running unless you put somebody next to her that's going to make her look better and make the concept look better. Mm-hmm. Not just her as a person, but like the ticket. And so I don't see Whitmer's too witchy. They know that she doesn't appeal well to a lot of different types of voters. And
well, here's the other question.
Pardon me.
Who's the foreign policy diplomat in all this?
Yeah.
Because that was supposed to kind of be her job. And
Right.
then they kind of were like, nope, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And pulled her out of it while Joe Biden was the president. So like, how do you fix that? Because I still feel that Gavin Newsom is their guy. They're just going to shelve him until the next.
But I don't think he
cycle.
wants to be a part of this ticket. I think they've asked him. And
If he's
just
smart,
like,
he would run as far away from this
Yeah,
as
he's like,
possible. Come in and save the party in 4 years.
yeah, exactly. I think he's like, I'm your guy, just not with her. Because she's gonna put a stain on my reputation that I will never be able to shake.
And I cannot imagine who would be a worse president.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom.
Right.
So just being honest with all of you,
Here's
take a look at both California politicians, by the way. Take a look at all the good they've done in California state. It's grim.
Here's another element to think about too. Kamala Harris knows full well that even the Democrats don't want her in there. So if they put in a ideologue, or they put in somebody with great name recognition, or somebody that they would rather have in that place, but they can't because of how the system's working right now, that her life's at risk. They'll off her to make sure that the VP gets in there, and then the VP can pick whoever they want, right? So she has to play the strategy properly, or she's like, her life's at risk. She knows that. She knows that they don't want her there. So she's got to pick somebody who's has winnability, but also that they would be afraid if they took her out that this other person would step into that role. I think that there's one person that fits the bill that nobody's looking at because they're all looking at the Democrat side, and I hope that I'm the only one. So don't say anything.
This
Everyone,
stays
shut
between
up.
us.
This stays between us. I think that the smartest move, and I'm glad that I haven't heard this yet, but I think the smartest move would be to ask Nikki Haley to run as her VP. And I think Nikki Haley might do it if asked, because of the fact that they wouldn't want a Republican to jump in, so they couldn't take Kamala out. But Nikki Haley has the name recognition. She already has a war chest. She already has money that she raised during her primary, so they don't have to raise money for her.
Right.
On top of that, she also it will be the 2 female ticket, both of them not white ladies, both of them opposite sides, because there is no rule that says a Republican and a Democrat can't be a part of the same administration.
If we could consider Nikki Haley a Republican.
Right. Yeah. So, but that being said, H&H, we're here to mend the fences, to build this country together, to actually to heal the divide. The catchphrases are immeasurable. They could go forever with those. And the demographics they're looking for that voting base, the women and all that, is there. And so that would be the only threat, I think. Outside of that, it doesn't matter who they put next to Kamala Harris.
How hard do they have to get ready for this election if that's the case? How hard would preparation H&H come to pass to get voters to swing their way? Because all they can really do is try to lie and praise how great of a job Joe Biden's done.
Right.
The greatest accomplishment in Joe Biden's career as a United States president, by my estimation, was beating Donald Trump in an election.
Yeah.
And since then, it's pretty much been downhill from Afghanistan to Israel to the border crisis to,
the
fentanyl's
economy,
exploding.
to fentanyl, yeah.
All of this is abhorrent.
to the oil industry, to everything. Anything the man touched went sideways.
Yeah.
How do you polish that turd?
Where do they go from there?
Right.
I mean, because Kamala Harris is not one that can string together a bunch of sentences that make a lot of cohesive statements. Like, she's just not.
No.
Like, in fact, there's some of my favorite clips on YouTube are people being like, here's a list of politicians and here's a phrase, go ahead and read it. Which one of these politicians said that? And like, nope, that's actually Kamala Harris, like over and over again.
Right.
And it's pretty bad. So like, if signs are not really pointing right, what's the strategy to win? Like, agnostic of the VP selection, which may or may not be impactful no matter how they go.
Right.
I'm not sure the PAC would let them pick Haley. It is the smart thing to do. The way you laid it out makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Like, how do you polish that turd? I just don't see it. I'm stumped.
I don't think it can happen without illegal outside activity happening. Yeah. And so on paper, it's an absolute loss. There's just no way. You can't measure that woman and look. And I mean, the Trump administration has already started pumping out all of like really, really strong ads against her, going, this is who you want. This cackling crazy person who says nonsense word salads and who this is what she's responsible for her entire career, and all of it is due to her sleeping her way all the way up. This is who you want, and she's even Democrats and even far left progressives, like all of the pro-Palestine people, Black Lives Matter. They're like, she's a cop. We're not voting for her. They're losing in the demographics of all
the places they would need to win. They're losing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then with Trump taking a bullet, that guy's more gangster than ever in the black community. He's like, that guy's a felon. He's taking a bullet. Like like he's got multiple baby mamas. That's our dude. And so it's actually turning the black community towards Trump. They're voting for him more than anything. What are you going to do with that? As Kamala Harris, the first, president of color, or woman president of color,
right.
Like, how are you going to? They're like, we don't care. You're a cop. That guy took a bullet. I'm sorry. Like, and by the way, the FBI just came out and admitted that the bullet hit his ear. Let's not play this game anymore. I don't want to discuss it. So, yeah, it's craziness, but I don't think she has a snowball's chance.
I'm trying to find a theater by which they can build a narrative, and I haven't found one. Not one.
I don't think
the only thing that is dovetailing vocally that is obviously at this stage in American history not enough to sway the public is even Trump just got shot. Let's ban all the AR-15s and stuff. Like, she's already come out extremely vocal on that. I'm like, you're going to win over a mom or two in suburban America probably with that kind of talk, but you're going to lose what little you had in support, even from the moderate side of the Democratic Party, which is less and less and less, because if you speak moderate, you're usually kicked out of the cool kid group for them.
Yeah.
So, I just don't know. I literally have no idea. It isn't foreign policy. It's definitely not the border. That was the very first job she had. You had one job you were given, and you absolutely destroyed that.
Well, have you seen them all within the mainstream media all deny that she was never the border czar?
Right.
She's never the border czar. That's a Republican talking point. But they've made power clips, and they're all over YouTube right now, of since she was appointed as the border czar officially, and then clips back and forth of them going, nah, here it is, over and over again. It was obvious that they're going to run out of steam on that.
She famously had an interview with a CNN reporter, and I don't remember which one it was, but they were like, they were talking about, but you haven't been to the border yet.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, I haven't been to Europe either.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. And kind of played it off even back then.
There's too much footage of them and news outlets actually saying that she is the border czar,
Right.
of her saying she was the border czar, of her being interviewed. So, they can play this game for a couple weeks, but there's so much evidence to the contrary that it's
Right.
going to be impossible for them to keep that narrative up. Eventually, they'll have to sidestep it or kind of sheepishly admit it. Yeah, but
Right.
they'll spin it in whatever way they can, but ultimately they'll have to admit that the border was her responsibility, and it's a disaster. So and that she never went down there.
Yeah,
so,
she didn't score too many points with her lectures in and around the UN. Like, I'm trying to think of anything from a capability perspective that she can hang her hat on and try to build a positive narrative around. And really, I think it's going to go right back to the 2016 very first attack pattern of, well, Trump is orange and bad and very orange and bad. And that's, you should vote for me instead because Trump's an asshole, remember? Can we talk about how bad he is again? Like, I really don't know what they're going to do. I'm going to be in a state of awe and amazement when I see what their cornerstone campaign thing is going to be. I just don't see it.
I think it's pretty funny though that they were demanding a debate with JD Vance and her.
I wanted it so bad. I was talking to my dad, and I was like, I would pay to see that like on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And we're not going to see it because literally 5 minutes ago, Biden just quit the job.
Yeah.
So,
and that was the thing.
Really fun.
But that was the thing when they made that proclamation and said, "Hey, we are challenging JD Vance to a debate with Kamala Harris," and their response was like, "Well, we don't know who the VP is going to be right now," in kind of a joking fashion, but like they knew something, right? Mm-hmm. Why would the DNC? Why would the Biden administration? Why would Kamala Harris challenge JD Vance to a debate? Were they hoping that he'd say no? Were they hoping that they could somehow spin it? Because if they already knew that Biden was stepping down and she was stepping in, they would never even propose the challenge yet until after the DNC convention where everybody was like,
correct.
Right? So
that should have been the order of operations.
I've been hearing a lot of people say this has been the plan all along to put her in. I don't think it was.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it was at all because they would never have tried to set up a debate, a VP debate with Vance if they
Correct.
Knew that this plan
She'd
was
be preoccupied by being the replacement,
the heir apparent,
right.
So it doesn't make any sense to me that they would do that and then flip around and then throw her in the hot seat, So I don't know, but I think that whoever she picks, is going to get eaten alive by JD Vance, no matter who she picks. Even if it's Nikki Haley, like if you throw Nikki, I mean, they would be best to avoid a debate, a VP debate, because I don't think they're required. I think they're just like highly suggested. But I mean, the traitor remark. Oh, you're a traitor. You're a straight up traitor. And also just I think JD Vance would dismember her and dismantle her pretty quickly.
If that was Kamala's plan, or this was all planned or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that after Vance was announced as the VP? Okay. I was like, yeah, because that's a worse selection for an open challenge, in my opinion, than Marco Rubio would have been.
Yeah.
But still sucks. So, I don't know. I'm really remiss to be like, yeah, think about all of it and don't forget any of it. Is it education? She's got nothing there.
Is it taxes? That doesn't look too good. Is it foreign policy? That's a scary topic. She probably doesn't want to go back and embarrass
Right.
herself again. And she's, happy to embarrass herself.
But
as
now-
the borders are, it just seems like I don't see a theater of opportunity for you at all.
Especially if they do the last 2 debates with Trump, because there's supposed to be 3. He got 1 with Biden. Now are they going to do 3 with Kamala now, or is she just getting the last 2? Or are they going to nix them all and just say, we can't let this happen? It was a disaster with Biden. What do we do with Kamala now? So the public will demand it. And they will demand it, and she is going to get eviscerated by Trump on that stage. Eviscerated. It's going to be worse than the Biden bumbling, because she's going to say word salad, and she is going to go into hysterics, and she is going to actually...
She would get eviscerated if they just stuck to the topic of what she's been up to as the vice president of the United States.
Right.
If they go back into her California politics, like I was telling you when you got here earlier this week, I watched a Daily Wire thing. They did a 3-part series called Scamala, and it's Ben Shapiro's hosting it, but he doesn't like go all Ben Shapiro on it. It's like very fact driven, and then this happened, and then at this time, and whatever, and then reason why I'm saying this, and then next, and then this reason why, and there's 3 episodes of 20 minutes of content of her absolutely from where she was born and raised, all the way to walking into the White House as the VP. And it's like pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
So it's like some of the stuff I knew, some of it I was like, God damn. And then I'm like Googling to try and corroborate. Seems like it's all in the San Francisco Chronicle. If you just dig to page 2 or 3, it's there. And
Yeah.
people are just like, whatever.
Ugh.
Man, I don't know. So yeah, to your point, like I think even if they just stuck to the, what have you been up to for the last 4 years, that would be pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
That's
She's
the
gonna
icing
get
on a
eaten
pretty
alive.
terrible cake. Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the best she could do, is stand up to a debate.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, if she goes quiet or like just runs a campaign and doesn't actually do any of that, she's so unlikable as a candidate. Like there's just no way.
Lowest approval rating in the history of approval ratings for a VP.
It got into negative numbers.
Yeah,
So
negative
like,
17. And my joke last week was, and remember, this is after Dick Cheney shot a guy in the face. So, like,
right?
I mean,
yeah. Dick Cheney straight up shot one of his hunting buddies in the face, and he still had better approval rating than Kamala Harris has.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane that this woman, they're even considering her, but I think they're kind of painted themselves into a corner with
Yeah.
her, because there's no way around it.
Yeah.
I think this mistake that she's in the position she's in, because she once again fumbled her way into this position. She did not intellectually pivot herself into a situation where she was smart enough to position herself into a place where she is going to be a sitting president. She accidentally got there because of mistakes that were made in the 2020 election, because they went, we got to get Biden to win.
yeah.
Let's put Kamala Harris with him, not thinking 4 years down the road that we're going to get stuck with her if
Correct.
something happens to him. This was a mistake made 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when they were planning this out, or even like 5 years ago, right?
Most of her press appearance arguments to stuff when she's challenged on things,
Yeah.
she just kind of grabs some random red herring headline that is backed by some innocuous number that can't really be quantified in her Venn diagram that she likes to pull up all the
Right.
time or talk about all the time. And the funny part is it's like that's just a headline from some news agency that you pulled out. And we know that Biden has a decorated career of plagiarism throughout
Yeah.
his political career. What could she literally draw on that's been a net positive, besides perhaps opening some sort of like presidential library type of thing that she might have been in a ribbon cutting ceremony for? There's nothing impactful. That was my whole
and I'm
angle,
trying to be,
was like,
I'm trying to be generous with it too. Like,
me too. I'm like, what is the narrative we're going to be fed?
Yeah.
I don't understand by which area of affect in the executive branch you might have had a hand in that was net positive that you could build something on in, what is it, nearly August? So we've got September, October, and November. And you don't even have a running mate yet. So it's got to be that Trump is very orange, very bad, and very orange and bad.
and then Project 25.
Yeah.
Which I was listening to a podcast today from a guy who was the Project 25 guy. I haven't finished it yet, but he's distanced himself from that. But that seems to be their talking point. If Trump gets in, it's going to be Project 25. And then they made up, and Colbert and everybody went off and made up a whole bunch of stuff that's not actually in it, like a lot. They just straight up made it up. And so they've created a website where they were like, hey, we need to, what's it called when you challenge something and say it's not true?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Someone's got to do due diligence on all their shit and figure it out.
Yeah. So debunk it. They debunked it. So, and they went through all the things that other outlets are saying, untruths about it. I haven't read it.
Imagine if objective news reporting actually ripped apart the Green New Deal, just read the appendix of what's in that.
Yeah.
And where all the money is going overseas for random stuff that they just keep attaching to that shit. But I don't know. I won't speak to the Project 25 thing because I have zero experience with it.
Neither do I. So, but that's where the talking heads are at right now because it's the big boogeyman. So they're scared of that. So they're going to use that as the only thing they have is attack vectors to go after Trump. They have no defense.
Character attacks, old news stories, and orange and bad.
Yeah.
I think that's the play.
Yeah. And they're just going to turn it to 11 and push as hard as they can for 3 months and then cross their fingers. But I think the people behind the scenes know that, and are probably preparing for the fact that this woman is not going to win a presidency. Or they're going to cheat on such a level that it's going to be far more obvious than even 2020, and they don't care.
Yeah.
Like that, it kind of starts to, when you start seeing patterns in history, and it starts to really, you start seeing things like, we all were in 2020, we were all scratching our heads, going, "How is Joe going to win? He's been in his basement." Not campaigning at all the entire time. He's been literally in his basement, and that was the big joke. Like, he's not campaigning. He can't win. He's not campaigning at all. No one shows up to his rallies. This is ridiculous. This is in the bag, right? And then he wins, and we're like, what the, and it didn't make any sense to us logistically. It didn't make any sense mathematically. How does a man who sits in his basement for the vast majority of his campaign how does he come out on top? And I don't want to be caught with my pants down with the same reason with Kamala Harris, is that it doesn't make sense on paper. There's no way this woman can win.
Well, and I was telling you
paper.
that privately. Like, look, I'm still not going to believe it, even if there's red confetti and Trump's reelected, like probably for several days. They'll be like, what's the catch here kind of thing. But yeah, I'm with you there. It was very surprising too. I think most of the voting precincts were surprised at how that turned out as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm expecting some knuckleheadedness as a result of this.
For sure. And but if she does win, it will be history because she'll be the first president to ever win without getting a primary vote.
Yep. And with almost no political experience.
Yeah. So
for a career in politics.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll obviously keep everybody posted with what's announced, what our thoughts are on it.
Because I'm sure the next week or two is going to be pretty fascinating because she's going to have to hurry up and pick somebody. She doesn't have any time left. The clock is like...
Well, and we said that a month ago.
Yeah.
We were like, dude, I mean, the Dems are damn near out of time as it is.
Yeah.
And like, why are we having these debates with, Gavin Newsom and
Ron DeSantis?
Ron DeSantis. Yeah. Like,
this is stupid.
And I'm theorizing it's to get him in front of the American
public
electorate.
Absolutely.
As a face, just so that they can try to massage how that would look in 4 to 8 years, which I still think they're doing.
Yeah, they're definitely grooming him for that position. So
it's crazy. So, rumor mill.
Yeah.
Speaking of politics and local politics, I understand the governor of the state of Washington, who's not seeking re-election for the first time in his adult life, is moving to your neck of the woods. Thoughts?
Yeah, somewhere.
I can't think of a more unwelcoming environment. Can you?
I cannot imagine
Anywhere
what
in the
his thought.
States.
Like this proves to me that he is as intelligent as I thought he was.
Huge balls.
Massive balls, because that you would have to. So a couple months ago, like, I don't know, probably 6 months ago or so, Aaron and I can't remember where we heard it or saw it, but we had heard, and she brought it up to me that that Inslee, Governor Jay Inslee of Washington State, who is probably the most hated man in Idaho State, let alone Washington State, but it had bought property in just north of us in Hayden, Idaho. And
One hopes it's an investment property where he's just going to build a rental and never ever show up.
right, but why would he do that? That doesn't so we think that he's
He
trying.
priced himself out of his own state while being the governor, perhaps.
That's exactly it. And so he is the governor who spent, I don't even know, 2 terms, maybe 3, lighting his state on fire systematically in every way possible.
Did he succeed Christine Gregoire?
I believe so.
Was that who was in office at that position?
Let me find. We gotta
figure this out.
Yeah, because who was in?
Because if that's the case, I think it was 4 terms. And I don't remember if she was a senator or if she was the governor.
Hey, chat, you want to help us out with this?
Chad, do we know if Christine Gregoire served as a senator or governor in Washington State? And if so, what was her favorite color? Just kidding. We should know this. I have the internet on a device right here. Christine Gregoire. Gregoire. Terms. What did Christine Gregoire do? 22nd governor of Washington from 2005 to 2013.
He was the 23rd.
She defeated Dino Rossi in 2004. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. So now he succeeded her directly, right?
Yes.
So it's been since 2013.
Yeah,
That's a long time.
that's a long time, and
That's 11 years if the end of his term is in 2024. It's a
Yeah.
long time.
and he has, along with his buddy down in California, and even a little bit of Kate Brown, who no longer sits in that seat, but
Confirmation from Kootenai County Spectator. Yes, Christine Gregoire was before.
yeah.
Sick.
So the rumor mill is that he is buying property and moving into Hayden, Idaho. Now, I couldn't think of a dumber idea for him.
Me too.
Yeah. You've created an absolutely massive refugee migration for your policies in a state that literally made people flee. And I don't mean that in a sense of like, in a jovial sense of like, oh, they fled. They fled because of COVID policies, because of vaccine policies, but also just your economic policies, the fact that you created drug havens in every metropolitan area because you catered to the homeless more than you did any of your other citizens.
The homeless industrial complex?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
You
deal.
created a wasteland of probably one of the most beautiful states in the country. And what you did with a smile and proudly. And you pushed out thousands of your residents, thousands of them, to other states, Arizona, Utah, a couple of other places, but Texas, but mainly Idaho. And the amount of residential boom that we got in that time frame of like right after COVID was astronomical. And they've all moved.
Idaho and Arizona both
Yeah.
were like a wild amount of people.
Yeah,
But
and-
Idaho is a little easier to get to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we got huge population boosts in Coeur d'Alene, all of Kootenai County, Hayden, all of them. So he decided to create a refugee camp as a dictator and then decided to move into the refugee camp. How do you think that's going to go?
I don't think it's going to go well.
Yeah?
I really don't. I can't imagine a more unwelcome environment for him to move into. Like, and
Why would you do
just
that?
the
Why
idea-
would you not move to Utah or anywhere
elsewhere?
Yeah.
Who retires where it's cold anyway? Go to Florida. That's what old people are supposed to do, regardless of how you vote.
Right.
The issue is that scares me is that this is the type of man that will be in retirement and well, it's just a city council position. Maybe
That's
I'll just do
exactly
that.
right,
I'll
on
just
the
get a
nose.
summer job influencing, some board of directors or trustees that
Right.
influence some policy driving thing. It's
I'll get on a school board. I'll get on a,
Yep.
anything like that because in your retirement, that's what you do,
Yep.
right? And you just get on some local city civics assignment of whatever you feel your hobby because you've got the name recognition and the face and
all the
the
years of
procedural
politics behind you. Yep.
So why not? I can help this little town out. He will have that mentality coming into that community. What he doesn't realize is that there isn't a single person. We hate him more than we hate our own governor. And we don't like Brad Little at all.
Yeah.
So, but given the option, we would we'll put up with Brad Little, but you're not even allowed in the room. And the amount of hatred for Jay Inslee in the state of Idaho, especially northern Idaho, is palpable.
It's vast.
Yeah.
His name's been dropped around me when I visited there as a punchline.
Yeah.
At least we don't have the shit you're dealing with, blah, 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 Inslee. And it's like, well,
So he's
I
gonna
do find that mildly entertaining because it's like, yeah, you guys can have him. Try him out for a while. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, he's going to end up in Hayden, and he thinks he's going to be able to cruise around in his retirement and go to Super One, and not have people go, wait a
Yeah.
minute, I used to live in your state.
Right.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
That's Jay Inslee. Get out.
Yeah,
You're not allowed to. Yeah, shame.
I have to imagine the best course of success if he's truly going to move there and retire there
Yeah.
is to be retired.
Yeah.
Just stay retired.
And stay at home. 'cause
Enjoy
you're
the
not-
snow.
We don't even. Yeah. Do not run for any office.
Yeah.
Don't do anything. You buy a cabin. You get your groceries delivered. But I don't even think that's going to save him. I think that there's enough people now because the word got out. So it's not just it being announced right here. It's all over our Telegram chats. It's all over social media. Everyone knows, and there's gonna be no safe harbor for him. And so I don't see it lasting long. And if he runs for office of any kind, it will be a horror show.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it would be wise of him to continue with this move.
I don't think it's
a threat.
No,
I'm just saying that
I
for
do
him,
think billboards need to be put up and
Yeah.
don't let this man run for politics in your home.
oh yeah, for sure. So I
Start
think,
the campaigning early before he even has a thought to campaign for something. I don't know.
yeah, hey, this guy just moved here. Don't let him run for
Right.
city council or any planning commission or anything like that. Don't let him touch your county.
Yeah, and keep him away from your tax dollars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, yeah,
Or we'll just we'll build a homeless camp around his property.
oh my God, yeah, your legacy. Here you go.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Obviously, people are going to retire or whatever. I do think that if you retire out of the state that you called your community and your workplace for so long, and it is, in all honesty, all jokes aside, it is likely because he's priced out of anywhere in Western Washington he would want to settle into. I would imagine, unless he's just filthy rich with some sort of back end money or whatever.
I would imagine
Why
he
would
is.
you leave?
What a piece of shit.
Wouldn't you want to pridefully be yeah, I served here, I lived here, I grew up here, I was a governor here for X number of terms,
Yeah.
11 years, whatever, and I'm retiring here. This is home.
But the fact that you did what you did to your state and then you're moving out immediately,
Yeah,
that's what a gut punch to the people there.
feels bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was fun. Let's stir the pot a little bit with chat. You guys can enjoy that
Yeah.
for a while if it's to come to pass. So you watched a show called The Outsider.
I did.
Talk to us about that. What's going on with The Outsider? This is the show review. We're going to try and keep a little pop culture going.
Yeah.
It's not all, doom and gloom down here. It's actually really nice. It's 100 degrees and windy outside. So there you have it.
I downloaded a bunch of stuff for my travels because I knew I'd have
Yeah.
a couple of spots in the airport and everything. So, and on HBO, I had seen a preview for this like on social media somewhere, and I was like, that looks interesting, but I don't know anything about it. And it had come out a couple years ago, I think 2019, and it was a mini series. It was, I think, 10 episodes long, and it's based off of a Stephen King novella. Like he wrote it, and it's got a great cast, and it's called The Outsider, and it's basically sets up the story of a little boy in a small community goes missing. The body is found mutilated and completely kind of shredded apart, and like in a violent way. There's a van attached to it. They don't know who did it, but then a slew of information starts coming in, whether it be, and all the community knows who this little boy is, you know, and there's forensics that point to a person, there's eyewitnesses that point to a person, there's all of this evidence and camera stuff that point to this person, and he's played by Jason Bateman, and Jason Bateman is the local, he's a dad, you know, has a couple daughters and a wife, and he is a Little League coach that everyone knows, and they decide to make a point. Like, everyone knows him and likes him, but because of how horrific this is, they want to make a public spectacle of his arrest, so they wait until he's in the middle of a game. And they
Maximum eyeballs.
Yeah, and they arrest him in front of all, take him off the field and arrest him. And he's like, what is happening? And he's very adamant about denying that he had anything to do with it. Well, evidence pops up, and the prosecutor is just like, nope, you did it, and I'm nailing you, and we're all going, I'm going to win my re-election out of this, and you know, all that stuff. And there's a lot writing on it. He's like, it's a closed case. There's nothing but fingerprints all over the body, fingerprints all over the van. You talked to like 6 different people, got on camera, like at the strip club and everywhere else. Like, it was you.
Right.
Like, and he goes, it can't be me. I was 6 hours away at a teacher's conference doing this. And then he goes, oh yeah, what was it about? And he names everything off. He goes, and then these are the questions I asked. And so they go and check it out. The investigative team goes to check it out. Sure enough, it's there. And they're like, what happened? What's going on? And so then it's a series. They end up getting into a situation where they start finding out that there are connected people to it, where the van came from. Like, no one knew where the van came from. They start following the rabbit trail, and along the way they pick up this very eccentric private investigator that has a form of autism, obviously, and she's extremely good at what she does, to the point where it almost feels like she's psychic. It's like kind of Sherlock Holmes meets Rain Man.
Sure.
You know, and so and a couple of other key players that get brought into this, where the show doesn't feel like a supernatural show, which it is because it's a Stephen King thing. So we're looking at a situation where there is something out there pretending to be other people killing children.
Always kids? Or just...
Yeah, it's kids. And there are a couple of grown-ups do, but it's for other purposes. So, and it all gets folded out as the story goes, but it felt more like a crime thriller than it did a supernatural thriller.
Sure.
It felt like True Detective, like earlier seasons of True Detective, not the Jodie Foster crap. But
Not to shit on Jodie Foster.
Maybe shit on Jodie
yeah,
Foster
maybe
a little bit. Little shitting.
Yeah, but
So this is a new series?
no, I think it came out in 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so it's been a minute.
Yeah, but it's on HBO, and I think they were the ones who made it, so I think it was an HBO original. But it was captivating. Like the tone of it, the mood of it, the soundtrack, the noises, but like the camera work, the pacing, everything was captivating. It kept you just dialed in and kind of edge of your seat kind of situation. Like you did not know what was going to happen next. And I was terrified that the ending was going to kind of ruin it all. Like they were going to like, oh, this is really great up until this point, and then you're not, it's going to fizzle out.
Like go Sopranos on you or something. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But it actually, I was very happy with the ending. I think they tied it up really nicely. I don't think that they pulled any punches. I think that they created a really good noir tale of kind of a modern noir tale that really kind of encompassed a supernatural element without it making it the lead. You know, where it was actually the interactions of the people and the crime and the investigation and the law stuff behind it and all of that, and just kind of having to come to grips with the loss of multiple characters throughout the thing, whether they're children, you know, the main detective guy, you find out that him and his wife had lost their son a couple years prior to an accident. And so he's dealing with it in a different way, and it gets manipulated throughout the whole show. Really smart acting. The cast was incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and really, like, I went into it because I'm a big, you know, what's his name? Jason Bateman fan. And yeah, I went into it because I was a Jason Bateman fan, but then the cast is like Ben Mendelsohn, who was like the bad guy in, what's the Star Wars movie that's beautifully pointless? Really good movie, but didn't need to be made. Rogue One.
Oh, yeah, Rogue One.
So Rogue One, the bad guy in Rogue One, and he's like the bad guy in Ready Player One. Stuff like that. He was the main cop, that like was involved in the investigation of the case. So he's kind of your main character. But a lot of other like character actors that you would recognize, the character Holly Gibney is played by Cynthia Erivo. And I've seen her in other things, but
it's like a slew of that guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's that guy. It's that guy, right? But they all were wonderful throughout the whole thing. They all fit exactly into the character roles that they needed to, and you cared. There were certain characters that you absolutely cared about.
Are they setting it up for a season 2, or is this like a limited?
I think it's a 1-season thing because
it's. I guess it was. If it was produced in 2019, and that was.
It was 2020.
2020.
Yep. So 2020. Yeah, I don't think it needed a second season.
Yeah.
I think they wrapped it up nicely in that one season.
How many megs?
I would give it a solid 9. I enjoyed it all the way through. I was kind of
a hater with 8+ megs in the last few reviews.
Well, I've been really focusing on stuff that I want to watch.
Yeah.
But this one was a 9 because, man, it's been a while since I can go to work, and there used to be shows that when you go to work or you go do anything else, it's always running, and you're like, man, I can't wait to get home to watch that show, right? It's been a long time since I've had that. And in this one, actually, I was like, all right, I can't wait to go finish that next episode. Nice. And, you know, and then I went upstairs to even hear, and was like, I had fallen asleep and halfway through an episode, and I was like, before I go to the shop, I got to watch the last. There's like 13 minutes left. I got to watch and I would be at the shop. I finished it at the shop waiting for Tattoos to come in because I was just like, I'm going to watch the rest of this show. I was glued to it, and it's been a long time since I've been really invested to a point where I cared about the characters that much and what was going to happen next. Really great show. Nice. Highly recommend. So that's my review. 9 megs for The Outsider. Highly recommend. It was solid.
Because you mentioned it, and I think there's a Netflix original film called The Outsider that stars Jared Leto.
Oh yeah.
And he's
It takes place in the 50s, and he's like post-wartime guy,
Okay.
and he's like in Japan, and then falls in with the Yakuza because of circumstances. Pretty well done, pretty dark film.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I'm interested. And then you were going into the series. I was like, oh, right, it's a Stephen King series. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So, well, I will definitely check that out on Max. I think we're coming to one of my favorite points of the podcast, and I'm excited that you get to do it this time. And that's right there, the Gospel of Lindsay. I'm pretty sure I have the bookmark in the right spot.
I believe you do.
This would be your first time jumping in.
No, I read it last time.
Did you read it last time? Oh, that's right. That's
When I
right.
was here.
It's your second time reading it in.
Yeah.
Here we go. Sorry about the audio last
So
time.
chapter 16, right?
16, I
Yep.
believe so.
Chapter 16. And this is called Woe to You.
Yeah.
Woe to you. All right. Let's dive in. Jesus taught the chat about the mods, saying, the unholy Karens have inherited the mod account logins. So follow their rules, for they come from the divine dad lore,
Sure.
but not to imitate those mods, for they are delulu. Delusional, for those who aren't.
I think that's what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not, though. I don't know.
L to you religious Karens, having keys to the bussin' kingdom, yet you gatekeep it from both others and yourselves. L to the unholy Karens, trying to convert every last commenter, but make them twice as delulu as yourselves. L to you Cap'n Karens, who
right.
say it's not that serious to lie, ONG, as long as
On God, yeah.
on God. Oh, lie on. Okay, as long as you let the truth live rent free in your mind.
Sure.
L to you salty Karens, I know a few of those, tithing on the daily but refuse to forgive your bro even one slight.
Oh, man.
L to you blind Karens, stressing over your fit checks but don't make your heart immaculate.
Yeah. Can't have it.
L to you glow up Karens, trying to be holy snacks on the outside, but within you is nothing but a spooky, scary skeleton. Whew, that's harsh.
Oh, someone called the burn unit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
L to you Sigma Karens, for you say your fam were ops to the real ones of old. Therefore you testify that you are the fam of the ops of old.
Yeah.
Oh, house of Karen, how often I tried to cuff you, but you swerved. On God, I tell you, as long as you leave God on red,
Yeah.
you will never see him typing again.
Yep. Can't leave Mon Red in the chat like that.
Not at all.
That's it.
That's it.
Good Lord.
Yeah, the chapter 17 next week. That's going to be, this one's going to be good too. Get behind me, Satan.
Yes.
So
More to come
But
on that.
that was wonderful.
Thanks, you guys, for putting up with some crazy back and forth on the audio. Like, we went live for 5 minutes, and I was like, there's no audio here. I don't know what happened. It just kind of burped, and all the settings changed, and Windows didn't like anybody or anything, and I think we made it work. Hopefully the audio wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
We'll keep getting better at it as we go, especially if you're coming down here more regular.
And we'll be back under, we keep saying this, but we'll be back on a regular schedule when plane flights aren't like giving us crap. But like even the way we've set it up is that I'll be here prior to the Tuesday, but even at the regular time when I'm at my house, everything will be back to normal. So,
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we were able to do this. I know
Yeah.
it's been a tumultuous week of circumstances and
little weekend pod.
yeah, why not? Saturday night.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get some food,
Yeah.
and then I'll probably cut this up for all of my listeners on Spotify.
I'm looking forward to some desert Mexican food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be good. Should be good time. So thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
Real quick from chat, Lucky, you sound like an old man reading a teenager's text with that. Yeah, I think the best bet
Yeah.
would have been if you actually had glasses on and like had to stop to like adjust them on the bridge. of
I
your
almost
nose
put
like
them
that.
on because I was like, I shouldn't be reading
It was a very
this.
pulpit vibe too, which added just a little extra flavor.
Yeah.
9 megs worth of reading on that one for me. But we love you guys, and thanks for listening and tuning in. I know we've been picking up a little steam on the Spotify channel, so I appreciate all that. Feel free to reach out to us. Where are we at? Modern Relics Podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at Modern
Yeah.
Relics Podcast, so we need more subscribers there. So everybody subscribe. to
Hop
that.
on in.
And I think we got to check back in with our IT, but we were supposed to have a Facebook and an Instagram. I can't find them.
I can't either. I know they exist because
Yeah.
I remember getting an email saying, hey, here's an account verification two-step or something. And then after that, it was like kind of in the aether. So
Yeah.
we're trying to get it up and get it ready to
And
go.
once I get it on my laptop, I'm going to get it all on
Yeah.
my laptop. Then I can actually start answering you guys and then actually letting you know if we're going to be on our regular Tuesday night or if like something happens and we have
Yeah.
to do it on a Saturday night.
So Saturday
Give you guys updates and stuff like that. There will be more social media presence very soon.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's exciting too is I want to get, whether we're in the same town or we're remote, I want to get on some live events as well.
Yeah.
The election comes to mind, although we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But different stuff like that. So yeah, until next time, we'll probably call it here. We're going to go get some chowder.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.